lot of people ask us, what were you thinking? Why cross the Gulf in the middle of hurricane season? Why not wait? So I guess we've got a few excuses for that. There's money and timing, but more than anything was the fear that if we didn't leave right away, we might never leave. And that's what terrified us most of all. Taylor and I met in high school. We were on the swim team together and became close friends my last year. But after graduating, I went into academia and studied creative writing, and Taylor went into the Navy to be a rescue swimmer. I didn't hear from him for about 6 years, and we reconnected in Guam, of all places. That's actually where Taylor invited me to join him on a sailing trip around South America, and I said yes because it sounded like the opportunity of a lifetime, but also because I knew that Taylor needed this. He'd been diagnosed with PTSD, and he needed that time to help process his experiences in the Navy and to ease his transition into civilian life. This was going to be his odyssey, and as a writer, that really appealed to me. See, I'd spent the past 6 years of my life interviewing combat veterans for a book I was writing. So in a way, sailing for Cape Horn was like my penance for telling their war stories behind the shelter of my computer screen.
3, 2, 1.
Take 2. Back in high school, I tell everybody, whenever they're like, what are you going to do when you leave? And I'm going to go sail the world. Join the military to make that possible as a stepping stone. Now it's time to get this ball rolling.
The old lady, that's our boat. We named her that because we needed her to take care of us. But she was also pretty old. Taylor had bought her used, and he worked on her tirelessly for the better part of a year.
Every single nut, screw, bolt, seam, all of it has been replaced by us. It not only builds a special bond we have with her, we love this old lady, but we're confident in making sure she makes it to Cape Horn.
Hydraulics, baby!
Cape Horn harbors the most treacherous waters on the planet. It's where the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans collide, and everything gets magnified in that tiny channel. So you get these 100-foot rogue waves, willow walls with hurricane-force winds, and icebergs. It is the Mount Everest of sailing, and it's nicknamed the Sailor's Graveyard for a reason. One of the things I learned conducting interviews for my PhD is that most veterans are not prepared for civilian life. We think it's something that should be easy for them. As if life in the military is so hard, why isn't civilian life a cakewalk? But it's not that simple. These guys get banged up. Taylor got banged up.
For me, post-traumatic stress was very physical. My heart rate would start pumping. I could feel my face heat up. I would be shaking and tense, like I was about to get in a fight. And I'd start crying. My emotions flooded out. You see everything you've done over the years, people you pulled from the water or recovered, and it's just not beautiful. I didn't want to live in this world anymore. I didn't want any of the guys that I served with overseas to ever feel like that.
Equally, in his background, in my background, been touched some way or another by veterans that have lost their lives to suicide. There can be no better way than to sail around Cape Horn to conquer something that people believe is unconquerable.
So this packet has been passed around. If you guys have any questions, please ask me. I try to make it as clear as possible. Long story short, I'm not ashamed to admit I was there. I was one of those guys who had a hard time adjusting into the civilian world. And how I found myself able to reassimilate back into this society is Steven. And the work he did in his book, I was lucky to have a guy like him. I leaned on him a lot. And the problem with that is, I was the only one that had him. Hundreds of thousands are getting out every year, and they don't have that at all. So the least we can do is document this and spread the word on how you can deal with this. A lot of it begins with a goal. You're bigger than the experiences that consumed you for the past 8 or 10 years. So your life means more. And with all your help, we're unstoppable.
We probably should have done more to prepare for this trip. We should have done it in $1 million yacht with a steel hull. But, that's the thing about sailing, because if you wait until you're ready, your boat will never leave the harbor.
I've thrown up twice now. That's how nervous I am.
We recruited one of Taylor's Navy buddies, Kel, to help us out on our first leg of our journey crossing the Gulf. He'll fly back to the U.S. once we arrive in Cancun.
I'm proud of you guys. Some people, they're like, I have these great ideas, but most of the time people don't follow through with it. So, of course, Taylor follows through like a crazy man.
The weather looks good. We have a cold front coming down. That's going to give us some weather, but nothing we can't handle.
I look forward to that moment that we just set sail, because I know as soon as we're out there, all the nerves are just going to get flushed out.
Opening to the Gulf right ahead of us. Once we pass that, we're in open water, heading for Mexico.
Feels good. You just stare out at the horizon as you do it. Love being a sailor, man.
What's going on? Barometric pressure is dropping, and we've got two huge cumulonimbus clouds, which isn't your standard squall line. Expecting a pretty good storm tonight. Not one of those hit you and quit you types.
Breaking news, Hurricane Harvey barreling into the Texas coastline as a Category 4 storm with 130-mile-an-hour winds.
There are waves crashing over the bow, flooding the railings. Put her into the wind! Let's go!
Fought storms all night last night, fighting a storm all day today. Your adrenaline flies like it hasn't before when you're surfing down 25-foot waves in the middle of the night when it's pitch black.
At some point, our backs, our bodies, shoulders were all aching. We weren't getting much sleep at all.
I think Steven's handling it all right. I think he's definitely starting to figure out that if you make a mistake out here, you die.
We battled storms on and off for another 3 days after that one. I guess that's what is to be expected if you're crossing the Gulf of Mexico in the middle of hurricane season. This has been one of the worst ones in recorded history. And we just kind of had to push for Mexico.
It took us 8 days to cross the Gulf. We were planning on 6. We may or may not have started losing our minds a little bit. The guys that come home from overseas face much larger storms than we did. Not literally in a sense, but when they come home, they don't know how to deal with anything, They're going into a storm not prepared at all. They have no idea what's coming. So that kept us going. We fought every storm, I wouldn't say flawlessly. You're not prepared for everything. All you can do is just take the storm and keep on pushing through it. And then one day, that sun's gonna come up and it's gonna be like nothing you've ever seen before. And nobody will take that away from you.
How are you feeling, Jill?
I'm ready to see land.
Oh!
Look at that beautiful sight, dude! Bienvenidos a bordo.
So we are currently rolling into Belize City right now at the sunrise. That's pretty cool.
It's This is how we live. We don't want nothing to be too extravagant. We just want to live comfortable and happy, free in what we're doing.
The change in pace from what we were sailing through 2 weeks ago to now is unreal.
This is how we clean our bodies.
Oh, yeah. Row, man, row! We are currently in Colombia. Taylor, say hi. Yo, yo! Colombia is beautiful. Shame people avoid it.
Took us like more than 3 weeks, huh?
Yeah.
To get down the coast of Colombia.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't any straight lines.
We got to see some places that not a lot of people see.
Yum. Merry Christmas. Oh my God.
That's decent too.
So here you are, man. Bahia de Caracas.
Letting that all sink in. Taylor, more than anyone I've ever known, is at home on the water.
I feel like a little kid battling the waves, like Popeye.
He's happier out here than I've seen him since we were on the swim team together.
Dreams come true.
The engine broke down. Old lady's pretty banged up. We're pretty low on food right now. Everything's going wrong all at the same exact time.
Boat's leaking. Transmission's out. Caught on fire last night. It's time to call it. Pushing our luck, this boat's not gonna make it. Time to go home. Go to Valparaiso, make the repairs on the boat. See if we can sail her down there.
We set off with the goal of completing this trip in a single take. And in that sense, we failed. We made the decision to winter our boat in Chile, and that was tough. But it was the right choice because this is not the end. We're flying back to Valdivia to finish what we started. And we're going to embark at the doorstep to Patagonia. This is the most challenging leg ahead of us, sure, but it's also going to be the most beautiful. We're sailing for Cape Horn, and there's not a thing that's going to stop us.
This is the end. What would you have to say to people who might be thinking, oh, you guys are just giving up?
Calm at sea, 600 miles from shore. I would give them one of these.